Hi, my name's Katie, and a year ago I completed the Thrive programme by reading the Cure Your Emetophobia and Thrive book. I previously filmed a video just after, talking about how much the book had helped me, and there was quite a lengthy description of how bad I used to be before, but I don't want this video to be like that. So if you're wanting to hear my full story, how bad my emetophobia used to be, what else I'd tried before Thrive, and how I'd felt straight after finishing the book, then you should watch my previous video. But for this video I just want to tell you about how the journey doesn't just end after you finish reading the book. It's only just the beginning, really. I wanted to answer a couple of frequently asked questions. I get asked quite a lot since doing Thrive last year, and I wanted to share some of the things that had happened to me that I never thought possible, to demonstrate that the knowledge and the skills that you gain doing Thrive, if used in all areas of your life, can give amazing results. Combating emetophobia was really just the tip of the iceberg. So since finishing Thrive and filming my testimonial video, I've had the best year of my life. I really have. I have achieved so much and met so many lovely people. Since then, I'd been asked the same questions time and time again. Are you really cured of your phobia? How do you know that you are? And have you been sick since? The answer to these questions are quite simple, really. No, I'm not scared of being sick. The best way I can think of to describe this was that I no longer fear it anymore than I'm scared of breaking a bone or falling down a flight of stairs. I don't particularly want to break a bone or fall down a flight of stairs, but I don't live my life in fear anticipating that it's going to happen or avoiding situations. I know I can deal with it, recover and bounce back if all three of those things happen. Hopefully not all at once. I also no longer avoid foods. I don't have panic attacks. I don't carry around a kit filled with anti-emetic medications, wristbands, hand gels or mints. I feel confident in the fact that if I felt sick, I could deal with it. And lastly, no, I've not been sick since doing Thrive. And you know what, it could be another 10 years, it could happen tomorrow, but I don't need to be sick to know that I'm not afraid. Being sick was never really the issue anyway. It was about feeling out of control, not feeling like I could cope in any situation, not just being sick, worrying about what other people thought of me, and creating an unbelievable amount of unnecessary anticipatory anxiety about things. And I knew he was going to do that. All those things I no longer do. Another question I get asked a lot is, do I still process my positives or work on any of the other tasks in the book? And the answer to that is yes. A lot of things that have become habitual, like my thinking and behaviours, but like every other human on the planet, I have my down days as well. I have doubts and concerns and get worried about things, but the huge difference between now and before is that I have a huge range of skills and coping strategies to be able to deal with life's ups and downs now and pick myself back up quicker, and that's the main thing, really. Thriving isn't about being perfect. Please don't worry that you're striving to be like this pedestal type person. It's not like that. It's about believing in yourself, building up these coping strategies and bouncing back from adversities when they happen. The last question I get asked a lot is, how do I know that I'm thriving? And like I said before, it's not about being perfect. But I do worry less, I stress less, I panic much less, and if I do get an anxious thought of any kind, I can acknowledge it quicker and I deal with it much more calmly. I feel more capable in my choices and my coping skills. I have much higher self-esteem than I ever had before. I actually like and appreciate the person that I am, and I care less about what other people think of me. That's not a bad thing. I don't worry about what people think of me or fear being judged. I can also do so many more things that I used to avoid, and this isn't just phobia related. This is much wider and in every area of my life, which is not what I expected from doing Thrive at the beginning. I thought it was just going to be the phobia I was going to be focused on, but it's amazing the amount that it's changed in every aspect of life. I'd now like to share some of these experiences with you, of things that I've done during the last year and how I used my new skills to achieve them. Firstly, I had my first anxiety-free flight ever that I ever had, even before I had the phobia. I had no pills, no bands, There was no panic of any type. I just really enjoyed the flight. I wasn't worried about it. Anybody thought. If it wasn't looking around for anybody being sick, I wasn't worried about how my stomach was feeling. I just sat back, looked out the window and enjoyed the flight. And it was quite a moment for me because I felt quite emotional when I was on the flight, just thinking, wow, this is just how easy life can be. It was the first thing that I came across last year after doing Thrive that I really felt the difference. And on the flight I was actually going down to visit my friend, and we went to an adventure course together, which was a huge achievement for me just going, because I used to be the child hiding behind my mum's legs at the playground, not wanting to join in. But here I was doing an assault course through the treetops, doing a zip wire. Which I was absolutely terrified of all my life, and I managed to make myself do that. And a 30-foot jump as well from a platform. Yeah, it was quite a funny moment actually, because the friend that I was with was Ree, who you'll maybe have seen her testimonial video. I remember we both said we weren't going to do the jump, and it was fine because we'd achieved so much already, and we'd done the assault course and the zip wire, and that was plenty to prove ourselves. But we decided to strap ourselves in and just have a look over this 30-foot jump, and I just remember thinking, God, we've come this far. And I turned round to her and I said to her before I jumped, Ree, if we do this, we'll never be effing sick of ever being sick again, ever be scared of ever being sick ever again. And I just leapt off, and it was the best feeling ever. I just laughed my head off at the end, and at the bottom it was so funny. So that was a huge achievement for me. The next thing that came along was jury duty. I had been excused twice before. I mean, there's people who are my age who have never been asked for jury duty. This is the third time I've been asked. And the first 2 times I managed to get a doctor's note due to an anxiety basis to get off. But this time I was determined to do it. And I got selected. So I was sitting on jury duty for a week, and actually quite enjoyed the process. Met quite a few really nice people in the jury, and yeah, it was just a life lesson, and I'll probably never have to do it again, but it came up at a good time in my life and proved a lot of things to me. Another thing I did during last year was public speaking. Filming a video is one thing, but speaking to a room full of people is another, and I spoke at 2 Emetophobia seminars, one in person and one via Skype. The Skype one was quite strange though, because I was looking at them, but they were all looking at me on a big screen, so it was like being ignored by a room full of 12 people, so it was quite funny, although they were listening to me. But that was a great experience. I got to share my emetophobia story, and really motivate and inspire people to pick up the book and help themselves as well, so that felt really good to do, and I really enjoyed it actually. I'd do it again. Another big fear of mine that I overcame, as you'll see I had a lot of fears, was getting blood taken. I had it done when I was a child and hated the experience, and I'd built it up into my head of being this thing that was so scary and terrifying. Yeah, and the picture really wasn't real. I was a little nervous the first time I went, because you know, it was the first time going out of my comfort zone with needles, but I was so determined to do it, and I used all my visualization techniques running up to it. Challenged any unhelpful thinking, using all these skills that I'd learnt through the book, and I had to get it done 3 times within a month, I think it was, and by the 3rd time I was talking away to the nurse and hadn't really even noticed that it had been done, so that's a huge difference. I also had my first Fearless November. You might wonder why November should be fearful anyway, but I had once been sick in November, and for some reason it stuck with me, and every time November came it was like the beginning of bug season, and I would just be terrified through the entire of November. That's when I'd be taking my most antiemetic pills, panicking most, and yeah, this was the first November I didn't have that, and I just loved November. I was watching the leaves coming off the trees, and just enjoying autumn and the build up to Christmas and things for the first time ever. It felt really good. And the last and probably biggest achievement of last year was getting fillings replaced without any anti-anxiety medication whatsoever. Just to let you know how bad my fear of the dentist was, and my fear of being out of control was, I used to have to get intravenous sedation, which was when they used to put a cannula of Valium, I think it was, into my bloodstream while I was getting my teeth even looked at. So yeah, that was when I eventually decided to go back to the dentist, and I obviously had to get a lot of fillings done at the time. So this was me having to get them all replaced. I had worked eventually down from getting intravenous to getting diazepam, and I used to, that was just it, I would get the diazepam, I'd feel a little bit calmer, and I'd get the work done. But this time I was determined that it was going to be me that got through the experience, not because of a pill. And I had to do a lot of work with the Thrive techniques before this, used visualizations, positive statements around the house, and worked up to the belief that I could do this. Yeah, and by the time that came, I did a lot of positive visualizations in my head to keep calm. I kept telling myself I could do this, and I had to go back 3 times within a couple of months to get them all replaced. And the second time I just sat in the chair laughing because I couldn't believe how easy it had become, and I couldn't believe that I'd been that scared of it before. So anyway, that's enough of all those things. But I hope you get the idea of how much benefit the Thrive programme has in all areas of life. If you apply the knowledge and the skills to all areas, some may be more challenging than emetophobia in some ways to work with and challenge, but in a different sort of way. But it's still worth it, and the changes are real, they're permanent, and I enjoy continuing to challenge myself every day and making the most out of my life, which is what thriving is all about. So I hope this has been helpful and encouraged you to either look into Thrive yourself or continue with it. If you're already doing it, continue with it, and just, yeah, the light at the end of the tunnel is always been there, you've just maybe not seen it before. So thanks for listening to me, and yeah, any questions, just do get in touch with me. Thanks, bye.